Hello, I'm Jake from Multitappers, and listen, there's a reason why the American Grudge was terrible compared to the Japanese Grudge, and not just because of America's bad Godzilla history of ruining classic Japanese cinema. Okay, so the Grudge isn't classic Japanese cinema, but you get my point. Here's the problem. The Grudge makes it, the American movie The Grudge makes it too much about how this ghost, this angry, dead woman creeper spirit, is the one that's killing everyone with her evil grudge powers by scaring people to death. Because American cinema is trying to catch on the whole eerie vibe of J-horror. But that's not what the Japanese Grudge was about. Yes, there were aspects of that in the movie The Grudge, Ju-on, however you want me to say it. But in Ju-on is less about her causing the deaths, even though she was harbinger of the horrible deaths. Is about those who went into the house being dragged into the series of events that caused her death. Is recreating that chain of violence. And that's the whole thing. It's a metaphor, people. It's a metaphor of how one gruesome act of violence, one intense moment of rage and hate can just linger, can just infest and cause untold damage. It's not about some scary lady with hair over her face who there's a reason for that growing too, which I am pretty sure they steer clear from in the American movie The Grudge, because it's a bit gruesome. So what happens, the reason there is a ghost to begin with there. So, I always forget the Grudges, and the name of the Grudge chick. I only remember the chick from The Ring, and just barely. So, what happens is, well before our Ju-on chick gets killed and becomes Le Grudge, was it her mother or grandmother? Anyway, a parent was a blind seer / exorcist. And what she would do, because this was a common belief of exorcists, was she would take the angry spirits in a house and shove them into her daughter. Because most of the time you don't have a way of getting rid of evil spirits that don't cause your horrible deaths. So, the daughter feels isolated, cut off from the world, all that lovely stuff. And that's when she sees this teacher, and he's nice to her. And she appreciates that. She starts to go into an actual life. She gets an actual husband, has a child. But she still is really glad that one teacher helped her not feel isolated and cut off just because she has evil spirits in her body. The husband takes this as signs of an affair. He does not take this well. He gets a steel rod and beats her until her arms and legs are disjointed, causing her try and crawl away, breaks her neck, but not enough to paralyze her. And so the only noise she's able to make as she tries to crawl away from her attacker / crazed husband is and why her joints are bent, and she's walking down the stairs like this and going isn't because that's supposed to be scary in Japanese culture. It's because that's the last thing she was able to do. She was only able to crawl away with her limbs broken and out of joint, croaking. And then eventually, the husband obviously catches her, shoves her into a plastic bag and puts her in the attic. Then drowns the kid who, because he assumes there's an affair between his wife and the teacher, he thinks the kid might not even be his. He drowns the kid along with the cat. That's why that's why the cat shows up before the Grudge curse actually takes place, and why all the kid can do is then the husband, being a total asshole and being a psychopath, decides to go out and kill the teacher's pregnant wife and goes through the trouble of cutting up the fetus. And the teacher at this time is worried about his student, the son of our Grudge lady, goes to the house, gets the call from the husband, "Yo, I know what you did. I just killed your wife because I'm an asshole." But then, the one death that's actually the ghost lashing out at the world, happens. While he's drunk and coming for the teacher, the ghost that is full of evil spirit because her mother or grandmother was an exorcist, leaps out of a trash can and fucking throttles him. Kills him flat out. Body's never found. From that point on, and Ju-on at least, anyone who goes into that house becomes either the husband, who ends up getting throttled by the ghost out of revenge, or the woman herself. And a ghost version of the husband shows up, brutally murders her, puts her in a plastic bag, and tosses her into the attic. And that's the point of the Japanese movie The Grudge. It's not, oh, this house is scary, all Japanese houses have ghosts and they're just going to make creepy croaky sounds at you and then you die, because magic. No. It's that anger leaves a wound. Anger leaves a wound, metaphorically, sociologically. It leaves a lasting scar. It's a cautionary tale to not lash out at those around you. It's a cautionary tale to not just fly off the handle on misconception and misunderstandings. I found that when I actually watched The Grudge, it did freak me out a bit that evening. Had a couple of flashes of some of the more creepier deaths in The Grudge, but mostly the story made me sad. Because as long as that house is reliving its worst moments, just as a person may mentally relive the worst moments of their lives, that is after a traumatic event, there's no healing it. There's no happy ending. Even burning the house doesn't end how much pain those ghosts went through. This is Jake from Multitappers, wishing you a happy Halloween.